Hello children and welcome to our YouTube classes with MANISHA ma'am. Today we are looking at chapter 2 in history, which is growth of nationalism part 1. Now in this chapter we will learn about the meaning of nationalism and the factors which are contributed for the growth of nationalism. Now, number one, first we will learn about nationalism. What is nationalism? An idea and movement that promotes the interest of a particular nation, especially with the aim of gaining and maintaining the nation's sovereignty and self-governance over its homeland. It also encourages pride in national achievements and is closely linked to patriotism. Yes, in other words, we can say when people living in the same province or country share same political, historical and cultural background and share the same language and cultural values, they belong to the same nation and their motive was through love towards the nation. And in other words, we can say nationalism is related to patriotism, love for the nation. Now, it can also be defined as loyalty and devotion to a nation, especially a sense of national consciousness. Yes, children. Next one, we will go to the factors which contributed for the growth of nationalism. Point number one, economic exploitation. This economic exploitation was one of the worst feature which is contributed for the growth of nationalism. Britishers came to India as traders and their primary motive was how to gain financial benefit. Indians realized that Britishers' goal was to promote their own interest instead of the welfare of the Indians. Indians were helping for their raw materials and for the development for Britishers. But after some time, they have come to the conclusion that the Britishers, whatever they were doing for their own benefits, so they decided to struggle against the Britishers. So there was an economic dissatisfaction in the different sections. Number one, peasants. They were the main victims of the Indian policies. Government took away a large part of the produce in the form of land revenue. Now, so after that what happened? There was a shortage of crops and due to that they suffered a famine, that is scarcity of food, and epidemic, the disease epidemic aroused. Yes, during this period, the British merchandise started to obstruct the growth of the Indian economy with their vested interest. They also exploited a huge amount of profit through trade, and for this, the taxes led to them into the clutches of the moneylenders and the landlords. Now, next point is artisans and the craftsmen. Britishers were against the interest of Indian industries. India became a source of raw materials for the industries of Britain and a market for its finished products. This policy ended the sources of livelihood of many Indian artisans and the craftsmen, as the British were hampering their profits. Due to that, they came to the conclusion, and there was another category which was working class. The growth of the modern industries led jobs, competition was high and chances of promotions were hopeless. There were very less chances for the promotions in government jobs, and we can say that was totally null or hopeless. All the policies were related to British people, English people only. They came to the next point, they came to the conclusion that British economic policies were keeping India economically unfavorable. Yes, this is the thing that they come to the conclusion, they have come to the conclusion that British economic policies were keeping India economically unfavorable. Next point, next factor, repressive colonial policy. Now what is repressive? Repressive means especially of social and political system restraining personal freedom. So this is repressive colonial policy. The British had conquered India to promote their own interest and therefore followed such repressive policies so as to make India submissive. Now, what is submissive? Ready to submit, ready to abide to the authority, to the needs of the British. Next point, policies became the hurdles to India's economic, social, cultural, intellectual and political development. The Indians were facing problems, troubles, hurdles related to the economic, social, cultural, intellectual and political development. Next one, policies which were introduced by Lord Lytton, the Viceroy of India, acted as catalyst for the growth of nationalism. Now, who was Lord Lytton? Lord Edward Robert Lytton was an English statesman, conservative politician and a poet. He was also the Viceroy of India. Now what is Viceroy? Governor of a country or province who rules as the representative of his or her king or in his restricted area. That is Viceroy. Acts as the catalyst or for the growth of nationalism. Now what is catalyst? Desire, compulsion. Desire and compulsion for the growth of nationalism. Next point, Lord Lytton introduced the Vernacular Press Act 1878 and the Indian Arms Act. Now what is vernacular? Vernacular means the language spoken by the ordinary people in a particular country or region. That is Vernacular Press Act 1878. This was done over there. The act was, in this act it was mentioned that they will not allow vernacular papers to publish any material that might excite a feeling of dissatisfaction against the British government. Now, but this was not for the British people or the English people. This act was done basically for the Indians. This was again one of the most important factor for the growth of nationalism. Lord Lytton organized a grand Delhi Darbar in 1877 to declare Queen Victoria as the Empress of India. Over there, lakhs of rupees were spent on events, but nothing for the Indians who were facing the famine. Here, it is very important to mention that Lord Lytton was so uncompromising in implanting the British trading policies that was called directly responsible for death of 10 million people in the famine. Now what is famine? Famine means the scarcity of food, that is famine. The Indians were facing the famine due to the different policies which were levied on the farmers' agriculture on the land, and the people, Lord Lytton was spending lakhs and lakhs of money on such events, and he was not caring for the again one of the important factor. The Indian Arms Act of 1879 made it a criminal offence for the Indians to carry arms without license. Now, this was again implemented for the Indians only, not for the British. The Englishmen can carry arms without license, but Indians cannot carry the arms without license, and it was treated as a criminal offence. And it was treated as the criminal offence. Next one, the maximum age limit for the Indian civil service examination was reduced from 21 to 19 years, thus making it difficult for the Indians to compete for it. This was again one of the factors which contributed for the growth of nationalism due to the reduction in the age system. Next one, import duties on British textile which were removed, which proved harmful for the Indian industry. Here, heavy duties on Indian silk and cotton textile in Britain destroyed Indian industries. Next point, Sir C.P. Albert prepared a bill in 1883 to abolish the judicial disqualification on racist distinctions. So, C.P. Albert was again one of the important person to abolish, to come to the end. He was the person who abolished judicial disqualification. The thing came to an end. Thus, repressive policies of the British provided a stimulus. Stimulus means encouragement to the political agitation, anxiety, and quickened the pace of Indian nationalism. Next point, socio-religious reform movement. This is again important one. The impact of the Western education made the educated Indians realize the need to reform their religion and the society. So, there were few reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Rai, Swami Vivekanand, and also many more. Jyotiba Phule was also one of the reformers. So today we will learn about Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He was the father of Indian Renaissance. He was the initiator of the reformers. He was one of the greatest social and religious reformers of Bengal in 19th century. He again in 1828 founded Brahma Sabha, later called as Brahma Samaj, which believed in monotheism. Now what is monotheism? Monotheism means believe in one God. For meditation for one God, prayers for one God. This is monotheism. Next point, the Brahma Samaj was against idol and emphasized on prayers, meditation, charity, unity between all the religions. Next one, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was also against the caste system and started a campaign for prohibit or nullify of sati, parda system, child marriages, and advocated widow remarriage. These are very important changes that he had tried to change. Also promoted against restrictions on the press. William Pentre, Governor General of India, made sati illegal and punishable by law in 1829 due to Raja Ram Mohan Roy's efforts. Again, he was one of the reformers which was responsible for the end of the sati. Jyotiba Phule. Next reformer was Jyotiba Phule. He was an urban educator for low caste. In 1854, he started school for untouchables, which is unavailable, and also started private orphanage for the widows. He became critical about Hindu religion and customs due to his education and personal experiences. He was a very experienced person, so he became critical about the religion, that is Hindu. Next one, to liberate the depressed classes and make them aware about their rights by educating them and spreading education was his intention. His only intention was to do the changes. Next point, to give social justice for the weaker sections. If society Satya Samaj was founded in 1873. Again, in 1873, Satya Samaj was founded. Next one, the role of the press. Role of the press is again very important factor. So, what are the press? Names of the press were the Times, the Bengali, the Times of India, the Hindu, the Pioneer, and etc. These are the press which were started during that time. Through press, the message of patriotism was spread and the liberal ideas of liberty, freedom, equality, independence were also done. It made Indians aware of what was happening in the world. So people came to know about the happenings during that time through the press. This was again one of the important things which contributed for the growth of nationalism. People came to know, people were aware about the things and they realized that there should be rise in nationalism. Now, for today we have come to the end of the chapter, part 1. Please go through it and try to solve the questions which are related to this. And if you have any doubts, please contact the school. Please contact our school. And if you have any queries, you can also solve your queries through school contacts. Thank you.